Tesla sells some of their Bitcoin in Q1. Let's talk about it. I'm hearing a lot of different angles about this. I wanted to put my spin on it. So from what I know about Tesla here, it is important to know that they bought their Bitcoin in the mid to low 30s. So we're talking, I believe it was somewhere around 34,000 was their entry of 1.5 billion into Bitcoin. Now that was met, if you don't remember correctly, because Peter Schiff actually, was going in on Elon going, look at your stock is plummeting now because you bought Bitcoin. So obviously, I'm sure he was feeling the pressure from the move. And I think shareholders that aren't really too keen to Bitcoin were like, what are you doing here? We got to get out of this stock. And so I think what happened here, which is actually confirmed in a recent tweet that I'm going to read over here on the right by Elon Musk, I think he's just basically showing the liquidity of the asset. He's saying, hey, look, guys, I know it's, volatile. I know that this is, a completely different thing, but we can sell it, and we can sell it at a profit. Now, the reason I wanted to specifically talk about this sale of Bitcoin is because it shows just how ridiculous the stock market is right now. Just how ridiculous. Because I love Tesla. I love their product. Their car is incredible. What they're doing with solar panels, what they're doing with battery packs, what they're doing with everything that they touch is brilliant. And they have a great brand, and it's hard to not like their products. However, to think that they deserve the valuation that they have right now based on their actual sales of cars, they're not really a car company. They're not making, to put it into perspective, off of this Bitcoin sale, out of how much money they have made off of Bitcoin, they have made more money than all of the years of selling cars. Just off of their Bitcoin. And how did they make that profit off their Bitcoin? Well, they did a bunch of secondaries, scooping up money from the shareholders. So if you put money in Tesla stock, they basically issued more shares and diluted their shares, soaked up that money, and stuffed it in their treasury to the tune of like $15 billion sitting in their treasury. And this isn't made from profits off cars. I mean, we're talking the profits off cars is like minuscule in comparison. So they basically just got free money. They've scooped money out of the stock market, which is what I would have done. If I was in their position and I'm like, oh, wait, they're giving us a valuation of like 700 billion. And how much did we make on our bottom line, guys? Yeah, let's go ahead and do a secondary. Yeah, no problem. Let's go ahead and do a secondary. And so essentially what he did is scoop up free money off of the market. When I say he, I mean Tesla. Now, when they made that purchase in Bitcoin, to go back on that, they got a lot of, skepticism. And so probably what this is, and this is why I'm going to read this tweet over here, Dave Portnoy went in on Elon Musk. I think what it is he knew Dave is such a great marketer. This guy, Dave Portnoy, is such a good marketer. He knew that if he said something really with like some sting to it, that Elon Musk probably would respond based on how many followers that Dave has. So Dave Portnoy says, so am I understanding this correctly? Elon Musk buys Bitcoin, then he pumps it. It goes up, then he dumps it and makes a fortune. Listen, I own one Bitcoin, but Bitcoin is exactly who we thought it was. Just don't be the last one hodling the bag. Oh, so I think what it is Dave got, he's got a little bit of he's bummed out that he missed out on some of the gains in Bitcoin, because I believe it's the Winklevoss twins had gone over to him and convinced him, and then he sold it, and then he missed out on some upside, and I think his stock's not doing too well, so he's probably a little bit salty right now. But Elon Musk says no. He responds directly to Dave Portnoy on Twitter, and he goes, no, you are not. No, you do not, referring to he doesn't understand it correctly. I have not sold any of my Bitcoin. He's talking about his personal holdings. Tesla sold 10% of its holding, essentially to prove liquidity of Bitcoin as an alternative to holding cash on balance sheet. Now, I tend to agree and believe him here, because when he did say after him buying that 1.5 billion in Bitcoin, you got to remember it went from 34,000 to over 60,000 in that time period. So he almost experienced 100% gain on 1.5 billion dollars. So there, at one point, they were sitting on, I believe, just under $3 billion worth of Bitcoin. So I would imagine, I don't know exactly when they made the sale, but it's certainly, it's obviously was a sale higher than 34,000 when they entered. So they took a profit of somewhere around like 130 million, 150 million, somewhere in that range, give or take, just saying rough figures here, but they still hold more Bitcoin than they bought. So I think Elon Musk is being honest when he says that. And it's hard to say that because Elon Musk is one tricky guy. But the reason I believe him is because he says we're accepting Bitcoin for our cars. And then not only did he say that, but he said we are not going to be converting the Bitcoin into cash or into fiat. I think he actually said fiat and then pinned it to the top of his Twitter. So he didn't even say we're not going to be converting it to dollars. He said we're not going to be converting it to fiat, which I was thinking to myself, that's pretty interesting. Maybe there's something along the lines of he wants to test out the waters and show, just his shareholders like, yeah, we can sell this at a profit. And I think also they wanted to see how it would be reacted to on their statements with the entities, the tax entities and whatnot, the SEC, and just how the government would respond to them, doing this with their balance sheet. So I really do understand where they're coming from. So I wanted to make this video specifically for my audience here, just so that you know the exact real rundown of what happened here with Tesla. They really didn't make that large of a sale, but the other reason I wanted to talk about this mainly is just to talk about how wild the stock market really is right now. How wild it really is. It's really just a total circus show of collectibles. In my personal opinion, everything in my videos is my personal opinion, not to be taken as financial advice, but it's like, is there stocks, even blue chip stocks? Is there a stock that really trades at a realistic price to earnings ratio where you could follow like a Warren Buffett type principle and go like, oh, I'm going to buy this because they're going to make more profits and they're going to, the price to earnings ratio makes sense. There's no stocks like that anymore. Tesla has made more money off their Bitcoin position than they ever have made off their cars and probably ever will make for the next, 10 years off their cars, 5 years, 10 years. So it's really becoming more of a bank. If you really think about it, it's like, where's the money really coming from? They're selling credits and they're selling their Bitcoin positions and they're scooping up money into their treasury from issuing secondaries. That's where their profit comes from. So I'm very big on Tesla. I love the company, love the cars. I really want a Tesla myself, and I probably will get one in the very near future. But at the end of the day, it's like, this is a bank. This is a tech company. This is, a battery company. It's so banks, basically it's a bank and a tech company. I really think cars is like the bottom of the top rather of the pyramid. All of the real money coming into Tesla comes from being a bank. They scooped up money from their shareholders and they make money off their Bitcoin position that they bought with the money they scooped up off their shareholders. And then they sell credits. They don't even make the profits aren't really coming to their cars. But this gets deeper to why they really did it. Behind the smoke and mirrors of it all is not only to, show that there's liquidity. That's the nice way of phrasing it. But I think the real kind of tricky, smoke and mirrors end of it that people aren't really talking about too much is basically with Tesla. They are in a position where they want to continue to show profitable quarters. And I believe they even said that on the record during the call. They said, this is our seventh, quarter in a row of profits. We just constantly we've been just profiting. And I think they needed it to show, that they're still profiting. Maybe, this whole everything going on right now affected their bottom line on sales. And so they had to show a bigger profit and they want to continue that string of profits. They don't want to have, 7 quarters and then have one random, non-profitable quarter. And I think they also know that their stock is trading at extremely lofty levels. It's hard for me to say that because I have a real, I'm obviously a big fan and I really like Elon Musk quite a bit, but the stock it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And it just goes to show you the overall sentiment of the stock market, that these companies that are considering themselves an auto company or a tech company are really making money off of selling Bitcoin and doing other weird things with their balance sheet, you know, and props to them. Maybe they should come out and say, hey, we're going to be a bank now. And really, who would be a better cheerleader for cryptocurrency than Tesla and Elon Musk? It's like the biggest concern on people's mind. And by the way, I mean, I'm in the gold and silver business, and gold uses a lot more energy mining the gold, and it damages the environment every bit as much, if not more, than Bitcoin. So but to show that this would be the ultimate cheerleader for cryptocurrency, it's like, what does Tesla specialize in? Oh, they specialize in battery packs, solar panels, and the renewable energy sector. So that's the biggest concern with Bitcoin, not having renewable mining operations. And here you have Tesla being into Bitcoin. Seems very interesting. So I think they really sold it to, I believe Elon, when he said he wanted to show that it's a liquid asset and wanted to kind of experiment and see, you know, hey, we can show that we can make a profit off of this and it makes sense to hold this. And on top of that, I think they wanted to actually affect their quarter and show that they're making money and show that they have this nice profit. You know, the company sold off, I believe, a little bit in the after hours, but not a lot. And Tesla is one of those stocks that you can wake up and it's just boom, down 100. You know, it could really do that. And what bothers me a little bit about Tesla was the 5-to-1 stock split. The 5-to-1 stock split is very deceiving, because I even have friends that told me that. You know, it's like, oh, I remember when Tesla was 300, it's not up that much. You know, I could still get in. You know, it's like, no, you have to take that 700 figure and multiply it by 5, because they did a 5-to-1 stock split. It's not at that 300 price tag it was, you know, a year or 2 years ago. You got to multiply it by 5. So really, if they didn't do any splits, you would have a stock price of roughly 3,500, a little bit over 3,500, I believe. Tesla stock right now, actually, I could talk about exactly where it is. So let's take a look here. So yeah, Tesla's down just a little bit in the after hours. So I think what the quarter is, if they didn't show that they sold Bitcoin, maybe they would have sold off harder and they wouldn't have shown that good of a quarter. So there was a bit mixture of things on why they did that, I think. But still, I mean, it's sitting at a $717 billion market cap right now at close, and it's $720 a share in the after hours here. So 720 times 5, you're talking about a $3,600 price tag if you take apart the 5-to-1 split. So it's very deceiving based on that. And they lowered the price, so it looks like it's like that Dogecoin situation. Everybody's going, wow, it's such a value. It's only, you know, a few pennies. Look at the market cap. Look at the market cap. Don't look at the price tag of a stock or a single coin. Look at what the entire market cap is. That's where you need to be looking, because you could change the shares and make Tesla cost $1 million a share. There would just be far fewer amount of shares out there. So you could change that, but it's just a matter of how many shares are in the market. But back to this Bitcoin situation, I think they are genuinely bullish on Bitcoin, and I think it's a brilliant decision. I think that Tesla should, you know, admit that they want to be a bank. It's such a perfect scenario. You have Starlink, right? The biggest two concerns with Bitcoin is, 1, you don't have energy to use the Bitcoin, and 2, you don't have internet to send the Bitcoin. These are the two biggest concerns with Bitcoin that Tesla could solve. They have Starlink for internet directly from the sky. They're putting up their own satellites, and many of them with the most advanced technology. So they have Starlink, perfect, and they already are deploying them. I think they have deployed quite a few satellites already. They have their own cars that have their own battery packs connected to their cars. So they would have, you know, if there was a situation where the energy was down, you would at least have the battery in your car that has its own internet connected to Starlink. It's like, And then also they sell battery packs for your house. So if you had a power outage, you'd have power from these battery packs. They also sell solar panels. Interesting. So it's like they would bridge that entire gap on the problems of Bitcoin. And I imagine they're working on something like that right now. Because really, it's like, okay, where is your profit coming from? Where is the real profit coming from? It's certainly not from the cars, although your cars are awesome and I really want one. It's coming from being a bank and really from being a bank, from selling like credit and doing just banking type stuff. And, you know, being a tech company, getting a valuation of a tech company. That's how I feel about it. But as an overall sentiment, it just shows me just how crazy the stock market is. You know, that these companies are just doing things to kind of prove their valuation and uphold these ballooned levels. I would love to be a Tesla investor. I would love to buy Tesla stock, but I look at Tesla stock like it's a collectible. That's how I look at it. When I look at Bitcoin, I go, okay, well, this is a good speculation here. I really like the platform. I really like everything about the code here with Bitcoin. I think it's brilliant that it's a closed loop system that ends at 21 million. I like this. However, I look at the bottom line and go, okay, well, it has roughly $1 trillion market cap here. Gold's market cap is 10 trillion. So I see that upside potential there. But when I look at a $700 billion market cap on Tesla, and I think about what they're up to right now, I mean, and I think about the potential of their future, yeah, you know, maybe it could get to being $1 trillion company, but I just don't see that upside there. I don't see a reason to own the stock other than considering it a collectible. Like, you know, there's things, it's an opportunity cost type situation for me. And it just goes to show me like how much overvalued the entire stock market is if you have companies like Tesla that are making more money off their Bitcoin holdings than the actual products that they produce. And could they turn into a bank? Absolutely. And I think it'd be a brilliant decision to have the Bank of Tesla. Bank of Tesla, make their own little banks that actually they could make their own mining operations and probably make them more efficient than anyone else at a much cheaper cost because they produce the actual items needed to make off the grid mining operations that are completely self-contained. Be brilliant if they did that. And I'd imagine that they're up to something along those lines. You know, Elon, he knows more. He really knows. Whenever Elon goes like, oh, you know, like gets playful about something like, oh yeah, I'm finally learning about Bitcoin. I'm a little late on it, but I'm learning now. It's like, I think you were working on blockchain before blockchain was even blockchain. Excuse me. It's like, I really think that's what he was up to with PayPal and stuff. And they even had talked about it. I've made a video in the past that with PayPal, they basically said something along the lines of, he went on the record, actually. Elon Musk said, yeah, we had this little email payment platform and we're surprised, eBay really wanted it bad. It's just this little email platform thing. And we're like, all right, we'll sell you that for 1 point something billion. But he said that it wasn't finished yet. And he says there's many flaws with PayPal. That's interesting to me. What were those flaws exactly, Elon? What exactly were those flaws, and what else were you working on with Peter Thiel and all the other PayPal guys? I feel like they were up to something, and it might have just been blockchain. Might have been something along the lines of Bitcoin and what's going on right now. He is one of the original, cypherpunks, or cyberpunks. And then what does he calls his truck, the Cybertruck? It's like, tricky, Elon, tricky. But overall, that's my whole feeling about this sale in Bitcoin. I know I just rambled a bit, did a way longer video than I probably should have, but I hope there was some valuable information in here. Rather than saying like the video in the beginning, I'm choosing to start saying like it at the end, because hopefully by the end of the video, there was some worthwhile content here. That's my whole perspective of it. And also, the other thing I wanted to add on this as well, what if selling Bitcoin provides an opportunity to get more Bitcoin? Or maybe how much Bitcoin have they been accepting for their cars? I wonder how many people have actually been buying their cars with their Bitcoin. I don't know how much that would affect the bottom line of how much Bitcoin that they're getting in, but I'm curious. I'm just curious. There's a lot of different angles here. And the most tricky of it would be, it's like if they really believed big on Bitcoin and they were making a movement to maybe being their own mining operations, which, there essentially would be banks. I mean, that's how that would be the other trick on how to make this completely unstoppable. And by the way, I always shoot my videos just completely no edit, I just shoot them and so I kind of come up with things as I'm making these videos, so it's all organic. But that's the third problem. The third problem is, what if all the mining operations get shut down, or the mining operations get too expensive, or something along those lines? That would be the third problem with Bitcoin. So first is if the electricity went down. Second would be if the internet went down. And third would be there's not enough mining operations to satisfy the transactions. Tesla essentially could solve all of those problems. And they have the capital and the resources to do that pretty easily. Something to think about. So if they sell some Bitcoin, maybe it's them, trying to get some less eyeballs on them while they're doing some very, very, very big movements towards being a bank, towards getting into cryptocurrency. Just a thought. With that being said, if you could like the video, I've got my fancy pillow here. I got a real YouTuber pillow. If you could smash that like button, would really appreciate it. Really does help this video. And if you could put a comment down below on some of your thoughts on this, we all really learn a lot from the comments. I learn a lot from the comments as well. Would really appreciate you putting your opinion on it. Do you agree with me? Do you think it's not that big of a deal? Do you think it is a big deal? Do you think they're going to be selling more Bitcoin? Please throw a comment down below and make your voice heard. Thank you so much for being here. And if you want to be a subscriber on this channel, would love to have you as a subscriber. You just click the red subscribe down below. And it's so wild to me that we're over 20,000 subscribers and growing on the channel. It really is just, it means a lot to me. And I know I say that like every video now, but it's just it's been less than a year since I made this channel, and I really enjoy making these videos. So thank you so much for being here. Have a great rest of your evening. Signing out.